guys, welcome to episode 2. Last time we met, we went over kind of the plan for the garment. I'm going to use hair canvas on the front piece of the blazer, on the 2 front pieces, and then I've used fusible on the rest of the pieces just to save a little bit of time but still incorporate some traditional tailoring into this classic blazer. I have my front pattern piece. I've marked my buttonhole placement as well as my roll line for the lapel, and I've marked this dart here, which will actually be cut out of my hair canvas so that when I stitch this together there will not be so much bulk. I have here a roll of hair canvas, and yes, there is actual hair in the canvas, which is why it's called hair canvas. I got this on waywalk.com. The Craftsy class called for traditional hair canvas, even though you can get this with adhesive on the back, and they actually make a fusible version of hair canvas, but I got the traditional, and I will link to both versions below. And so I'm going to prep the hair canvas, I'm going to cut out my 2 pieces, and then I'm going to prep and mark and lay all this on my wool fabric. Did a time lapse through the actual cutting and marking of the hair canvas just so we could get through that part pretty quickly. And I know that we need to do several things to these now that they're prepped. The first is that we need to trim away our seam allowance, and this pattern in particular has 1-inch seam allowances on the major seams. So the princess seams that lead from the hem up to the shoulder, as well as the side seams, as well as the seams on the sleeves, all have a 1-inch seam allowance. So your standard is 5/8 of an inch. And part of the amazing fit process here is that you have enough seam allowance so that you can do some fitting as you go. So after we do the interfacing for all the other pieces, after we do the hair canvas on the fronts, we base this together and then we check the fit, and then we can make adjustments before we attach the collar and the sleeves and finish everything up. So I know for this that I need to remove a 1-inch seam allowance along this major seam. I'm also going to do that around the shoulder here, basically all the way around the edge of the garment. Let me show you this first one. So this is what I was working on a few years ago, and you can see that the dart has been removed on the hair canvas, and our seam allowances have been removed on the hair canvas as well. And then all of this has been catch stitched together. So that's essentially what we're going to do on this new pattern. I'm going to make a new adjustment though. I'm not going to do bound buttonholes just because the fabric is a little thick. So I do need to cut out these buttonhole places. And I'm just going to do a quick check because things can get a little crazy here. We've got a right side. Just want to make sure that I have placed these properly. And we have a left side. Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had that right. Sometimes when you're focusing so much on the tailoring, you can forget which which side is which. So I've marked them, just wanted to make sure I was accurate on that. Okay, so you can choose to put your buttonholes on either side, depending on what you want. There's no hard and fast rule here, but I think that I'm going to stick with keeping them on the right side, and I think that will work well for what I'm wanting to do. But I'm actually going to remove them on both pieces of hair canvas, and here's why. When we stitch a buttonhole, we're not going to want to go through all of this hair canvas, and when we stitch on a buttonhole, we're not going to want to hand stitch that button through all of these layers, because this is going to end up faced by our front facing, which has been fused with interfacing. And let me get this kind of angled here so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is going to be stitched together, and then this is going to be turned inside, okay? And then you'll have your lining here, you'll have the rest of the garment, but you're gonna have to stitch a buttonhole through really 4 layers of fabric, 2 layers of wool, 2 layers of interfacing. So we want to cut down some bulk here just to make sure that, one, the machine can get through the buttonhole, or our hands can if there are issues. So I'm going to mark around these buttonholes, and then I'm going to cut out fabric, and I'm going to take, so you can see this, I'm going to do, I want a nice area to work with, so I'm actually going to take 1 inch on each side. I'm sorry, 3/4 of an inch, not a full inch, sorry about that. 3/4 of an inch on each side, and I'm going to take 1/2 inch at the bottom. This is going to give my machine enough space to actually be able to work the fabric through the machine. Since it's bulky, I don't want to mess up this buttonhole, because really we'll have one shot to make them look perfect, and I don't want to mess that up. And just to demonstrate how we're going to do this, I'm just going to unpin that. I'm going to get a finer scissor here. And you can use 2 different things. I have a small, I think this is a 5-inch. I use this to snip or to do notches, that kind of thing. I also have a smaller pair of gingers. These are not what I use to cut out fabric. I have a longer pair, but these are what I use for detailed work. So I'm going to actually pinch this way and just snip into that. You know, I think tailoring gets a little bit of a bad rap just because it requires more attention to detail. But honestly, you know, it's really not that crazy of a process. There are more materials involved. You do have to do a little bit more planning, but the handiwork is not really all that different. And you know, we could do pad stitching and hand tailoring on the collar and on the you know, we could really kind of increase our investment here, but we don't have to. And I like the idea of doing the tailoring on the front so that we get a really nice full roll line on the lapel. So I'm sure some of you have seen blazers or jackets in the store that, you know, your lapel just sort of falls flat, and that is a function of fused or not even interfaced jacket lapels. So there are a lot of benefits to hand tailoring parts of your blazer so that you get some really nice, really couture details are what these are. And these are the types of things that will set your garment apart from something that appears handmade and makes it look homemade. I'm sorry, reverse those. You knew what I meant. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got some of my medium fusible here. And I like to work efficiently. So I need 4 of these. I'm just gonna double this over. I'm gonna place this here. I'm gonna grab my rotary cutter. And I'm gonna cut out 4 pieces of medium weight fusible so that I can fuse these areas on the jacket front. So I'm actually using a mix of the 2 techniques. You can actually buy fusible hair canvas, and it's a little more expensive than regular hair canvas, but you can absolutely buy it if you would like. And so I will I'm going to cut out on the other side. I'm going to place these in here. I'm probably going to lift this up just a little bit. And then I'm going to secure these places where our buttonholes and our buttons will go. And I will see you guys next time.